Hi, and welcome to the Marketing for Writing Coaches show. In this program, I sit down with the best marketing experts so that you, the writing coach, can focus on what is really important. It's to say, setting up a reliable marketing strategy without the overwhelm. My name is Anne, and I help writing coaches get more clients. Today, I am very happy to welcome the ghostwriter for Renegades. She and her team help leaders and experts leverage their thought leadership on LinkedIn to grow their personal brands. Be ready to be blown away by Emily Crookston. Hi, Emily. How are
Hi,
you?
Anne. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for coming on the show because LinkedIn is one of those tricky issues that many writing coaches have an issue with. And you propose something very special because today we're going to practically work on a post. So we're going to take a prompt that you have given me that I have submitted to one of my writing coaches, and we're going to work on that to make it in a two post that has all the characters it needs to really work on LinkedIn.
Love it. Yes, it's so exciting. This is the kind of work that I really enjoy and love to do with my clients. We get together, we ideate, we talk about different post ideas, and then we create posts for them. And it's so much fun. So I'm excited.
Yes, I was very excited as well because so the prompt that Emily shared with me is, what is one thing you wish everybody knew about you and your business? So I'm going to read out the reply I got from Megan. Megan is a memoir book coach. She is on LinkedIn, but she's a little bit not sure about what or how she could publish certain articles. So this is her reply to your prompt.
Okay.
I wish everybody knew what a book coach is. So much of my job is educating people about what I do and why they need me to do it. It seems so much easier for other coaches, fitness, health, relationship, because people are familiar enough with those words to understand and see the need. A lot of potential clients think that writing the book is the hard part, and it is, without a doubt, hard. And they don't give much thought to the editing and the writing coaching process. They think that perhaps they'll do a spelling and grammar check in Microsoft Word and then be done with it. But there's so much more to editing than that. And I spend a lot of time empowering people to take that next step in making their manuscript the best it can be. They've dedicated so much blood, sweat, and tears to their book so far. I hate to see them not to take it to its full potential.
Mm.
So I thought that was a brilliant reply because it's exactly what many of my book coaches and writing coaches struggle with. It's like, how do I put it out? What exactly is a book coach to other people?
Yes. Brilliant. I love this. Yeah. So this is what the power, I think this shows the power of the prompt of what is one thing you wish people knew. You can ask yourself that question on a weekly basis and come up with LinkedIn content, because your answer is going to shift a little bit depending on your mood or depending on what's going on in your business. Right. So I love her. I love Megan's response. I think it's really brilliant. So the way I usually prompt people to work on this is to set your timer for 5 minutes and just free write on that one thing that you wish people knew about you or your business. And then from there, you create the post. So Megan could take what she wrote to you and use that, just, cut and paste into a LinkedIn post. That would be one way to do it. Because we know how much people enjoy hearing these kinds of personal stories, and it's we connect on emotion, and that's what is a great way to create content for LinkedIn. So she could do it that way, but what I actually see and hear in her response is like 3 different posts. So what I recommend is,
This is great. This is
yes.
I'm just going to say so.
Okay.
We have one super big good tip here is that I will put the prompt in the show links, but
Good.
you can use this prompt 5 minutes per week. You reflect on that prompt, and there you have it.
Yes.
You have one post. So Megan already has a post in the 5 minutes that she has been working on that. So this is something as writing coach, if you're not familiar or you don't know where to start with LinkedIn posting, here you have already one golden tip. So note that down.
Yeah, good. Yes, I love that. And it can be scary, right? She's gotten very vulnerable in what she's written, and that's one reason why I don't recommend just taking the free writing that you're doing and putting it on as a post. That could be really scary to you. But if you feel good about it, and it maybe some weeks you do, some days you write that little free writing blurb and you're like, oh, this is a perfect post and I'm good. But other times it might be, okay, I've got this really vulnerable piece of information in front of me. Now, how do I turn it into a post that I feel comfortable sharing with the world, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That can stop a lot of people in their tracks, because I'm always saying, if you really want to start conversations on LinkedIn, you really want to go for the content that makes you a little bit, has a little lump in your throat, because that's what starts conversations. I mean, imagine if Megan started this conversation about what it means to be a writing coach. All kinds of writing coaches that she knows would weigh in. All kinds of people who've used writing coaches would want to weigh in, right? So it's a really powerful piece of content. But like I was saying, I think there's a few different ways, a few different angles she could take given what she's written here. So the first angle that I would suggest going after is, it's kind of a process post. You might call it a process post. What is it like to be a writing coach? What do writing coaches do? And so the way to create your post is to start with a great hook. I like to ask questions when I'm creating LinkedIn posts. It's easy to start with a question. So it could be as simple as, what does a writing coach do? What is a writing coach anyway? These kinds of questions. But also, if you read through, or if you go through her post again, there are little tidbits in there that are kind of surprising. You might say, she might start it off like this: I really envy fitness coaches. Right.
Ooh,
I have a,
yes.
I really, my friends who are fitness coaches, or people I follow on LinkedIn who are fitness coaches, and you could tag one of these people so that they'll come and engage in the conversation. You say, I really envy them, because people know what they do right off the bat. You hear that someone is a fitness coach, you know that they're going to help you get in shape. There's not a lot to explain. But for me, I have to explain everything that I do, or, I spend a lot of time explaining to people what I do. She said something like that in there.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. That's exactly what she said.
Yeah. So that's one post, a process post. Here's how I do what I do. When I share about ghostwriting in that way, like a peek behind the curtain, something like that, I always get people responding like, oh, I had no idea how ghostwriting worked. It's so interesting to hear about your process. So I always think, oh, I should do this more. So you're writing coaches the same way. People don't really, she's right, in what she says, and people don't really know the value of a writing coach, and if you explain to them how it works.
I was going to say, absolutely. Yeah. Even I get sometimes the question when it's like, what I do. And one of the first questions people ask me, what is a writing coach? So actually, it would be great, Megan, if you do this post so that we can all share what a writing coaching is.
Yes. Tag us. If you post it on LinkedIn, tag me and I will absolutely come and say hi. So that's one post. The other post that I was hearing in there was a post about... let's see. Can you read me the first bit of the?
Yes. So I wish everybody knew what a book coach is. So much of my job is educating people what I do and why they need me to do it. It seems so much easier for other coaches, such as fitness, because people are familiar enough with those words to understand and see the need.
Right.
And lots of potential clients think that writing the book is the hard part, and it is without a doubt hard. And they don't give much thought to the editing process. They think that perhaps they'll do a spelling and grammar check in Microsoft Word and then be done with it. But there's so much more than editing than that. And I spend a lot of time empowering people to take that next step and making their manuscript the best it can be.
Awesome.
They've dedicated so much blood, sweat, and tears to their book so far. I hate to see them not take it with full potential.
Cool. Okay. So one other post that I'm hearing is that last line about the blood, sweat, and tears. That's a perfect hook. Hook. So you've dedicated so much blood, sweat, and tears to writing your book. What's next? Or how do you make sure that all of that really pays off for you? How do you make sure you feel really good about your book in the end? Well, you hire a writing coach, right? Or
Exactly.
You're stuck at a certain point in the writing process. How do you get unstuck? You get in touch with a writing coach, and we help you through it. That kind of thing. Again, it's similar, kind of process post, but you could also, go deeper about how you feel when a client has put all this blood, sweat, and tears into their book, and it could be so much better, and you're just, she could talk about you probably don't want to call out a specific book that you just read, but she could talk about how, I was reading this book this weekend and I thought, they really could have used a writing coach.
I would suggest indeed the calling out the person for
yes. Right. Don't call it out, but you can find clever ways to say, what I noticed was this chapter could have been at the end, and or sort of critique, like what if you've ever wondered what it's like to read a book as a writing coach, let me tell you.
That is an amazing one, because one of the things that writing coaches always say is that because they're writing coaches, it absolutely ruins their love of reading, because they go to the book and it's always like, oh my God, I would change this and this and this. And if only they have worked with a writing coach.
Exactly. Yes. So we're getting so many, you can see how many post ideas we're generating from this one little bit of free writing. It probably took her a minute to type up what she wrote here, right? So imagine what you could get if you spent 5 minutes doing some free writing like this around the prompt. The other idea that I'm hearing there is the part about how writing a book is not the end of the story, or people think that, once they've written the book, they're finished with the marathon or whatever it is. And in talking about how that's just the beginning of the process. When you write a book, here's what follows, or here's how you need to be thinking about the marketing, or, whatever it is. And, as a way to either help plug your own services, or as a way of just kind of educating your audience about what they need to do, or educating authors, first-time authors, or whatever you think of as your target audience. Like, what do they need to know the most to be ready to work with you, for example? You could think of it in those terms. But yeah, so I love that there's some personal connection in what she wrote, and the emotional side. I think often subject matter experts, like writing coaches, I think we forget, because we feel like we need to be on a pedestal maybe, or we feel like we can't be vulnerable with people. It's hard to kind of put ourselves in the post, right? Like I think we tend to shy away from that. I do this myself. I'm not as likely to talk about maybe what's happening with my business. Whereas if I did share some little pieces like that, where I feel comfortable, I'm not talking about, ranting and raving, and maybe, if you could think about like a failure or something, like probably don't want to share that right away. But after some time, after you've learned some lessons, those are really good places to go for content. And if you're able to be vulnerable in a way that feels comfortable for you, I never tell people to do anything that makes them feel uncomfortable, but it's just that human connection is just so important and key.
Yes. And that's how we connected, by the way, because you reached out to me after I shared a very personal post. And I must say, I wrote that just like, I'm so done with it.
Yes. Right. You were kind of sharing that in the heat of the moment, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I'm not sure you would advise this, but I was like,
it can work, Yes, sometimes I do the same thing. I will just rant and I'll be like, I don't care, I'm posting it. But then there are moments where I'm like, nah, I cannot. And it really depends on what it is, and obviously you want to steer clear of complaining about clients. That is a big no. Never, no matter how frustrating they are.
And especially when you tag them,
No. Right. And, I'm always a big advocate of, you don't have to share the actual details of the thing. You could always anonymize it somehow. So you're not calling people out. That's not the point. The point is to really connect with somebody, connect with your audience. I listened to a speaking coach one time, and what she said was, when you get on stage, your number one goal in the first 30 seconds of your speech is to get your audience to make a decision about you. Up or down. You want them
Up
to
or
make a
down.
decision.
And I think it's not even 30 seconds. I think it's way less than that. Huh?
Oh yes, it takes less time, but yes, your first 30 seconds should be about getting them to change their mind or decide that you're full of crap and you don't know anything, right? Because then they're listening, they're paying attention, And I think the same applies to a LinkedIn post. You want to get them, you want to hook them right away. That's the whole point of a hook. But I also think you want to have them make a decision like, oh, I need to pay attention to this person. I want to work with this person. And even if you're saying something that they don't entirely agree with, that's actually not a bad thing. That means that they're paying in more attention because they want to comment maybe. And hopefully they're going to say something, fair and nice and all of that. But I think going a little bit controversial is not a bad thing. You really wanted, that's one of the differentiating things you can, that's one way to differentiate yourself from other writing coaches, to share your philosophy about writing coaching.
Yeah. And if we take this this article, how could we put in some controversial aspects that is not too, because we're talking here with people who may not have the habit of publishing or writing long stories on LinkedIn.
Yeah, one way to go controversial is to make a statement that's an absolute. And you may not believe it 100% wholeheartedly. You might want to just do it to see if you can get some people to talk to you, start a conversation. But you could say like, I believe every author should have a writing coach. This might be something you do believe, right? That's not so out there, but it is a little bit controversial.
It can be very controversial. A lot of self-published authors will indeed not have this idea of like, no, we can do it ourselves, because that's also the problem we have today, that we all have this idea that it's so simple just to publish the book and that we don't need any help. We just write it and we put it on Amazon and we bestseller it, and that's it. So that's an excellent hook, I think.
That's a good hook. Or every self-published author needs an editor, something like that, or it needs a writing coach. Every self-published author needs a writing coach, something like that, where you wouldn't, like, what would authors agree with? You wouldn't get 100% of authors agreeing with you on that. So that makes it controversial, and then you can list out your reasoning, and you can show how valuable the service is for people. So you can do an always or never kind of statement. A lot of people use this kind of quip, and I think it's really overused. And I don't recommend using this exact wording. But how people say unpopular opinion, and then they give an opinion that's absolutely not unpopular. It's like 100% agree.
I was going to say, if you're a writing coach and you don't believe that every author needs a writing coach, and you
can go the other direction. Exactly. Not every author needs a writing coach. Yes, 100%. Right. So whatever, your vibe is, and however you like to talk with people, that's the stuff to go for with controversy. But that unpopular opinion kind of quip is a way of trying to say this is really controversial, when it's often not, but use that as the spirit for what you're after. Say something a little controversial. And the thing is, like, you don't have to be unprofessional, right? I'm not talking about being unprofessional, or saying anything that's gonna get people like, ooh, you don't want to cringe, nothing cringy, but a little controversial, and you can take it pretty far. Social media posts have a pretty short life, so there's not a lot of damage you can really do. In worst case scenario, you take the post down, but it's no one in your audience, I'm sure, would ever say anything that was like sort of trolling people, or anything that would cross a line, right? As long as you're not crossing a line. If a few people comment disagreeing with you, that's not a bad thing. We're here to start conversations. Oop,
we just lost Emily.
Oh no. There we go.
Yeah, that's and I was thinking also, like, so the second post you talked about is like a book the writing coach has. Can she maybe do it like in a kind of using a client she worked with, and then use the testimonial, like saying, we worked on this and this is what she said?
Yes, that's a great way to do a testimonial rather than, a lot of people they'll have the testimonial make a beautiful graphic with the testimonial, and then their post will just be a repeat of the testimonial,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
you can add so much value to a testimonial by commenting on the testimonial. Like, I loved working with this client. Here's what we did. Here's where she started. Maybe, this is a really great one. Oh, I had a client, they came to me, they weren't sure about working with a writing coach. They weren't, and I turned them around and I showed them, this is how we can make your book better. And they were sold. And in the end, they got a great book and they're very excited to launch it, or, whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, this is a great tip, because Megan, the writing coach, who said, then she has a lot of testimonials, and she exactly does this. So she just publishes the testimonials. So Megan, this is really a personal tip for you there.
Yeah. Talk about how you loved working with the client, right? It's another way to make that connection, or talk about the process of working with that client. That's also a great way to do it. I wrote a book with a parenting coach, parenting coach, a parenting book, and it won an award. And so I recently sort of remembered that, and I wrote the book a couple of years ago, but it was still a good time to sort of bring it back and have a quote from her and say, I really enjoyed working with her. I wasn't sure if I could write a parenting book. I don't have any children, but we had a great working relationship. She was amazing to work with, and in the end, this is how it turned out. We got this award, and it's a great way.
That's a great that's a great way. Maybe you can share us the post you did about that book. That could be a great example for any writing coach who's watching this. So
yes, I can absolutely do that. Yep.
And you're talking about images. So how do you go around images? Do you think it's like necessary, not necessary?
Yeah, this is a great question. So I will say that often with my clients, what we see is posts with images do better, generally speaking, than posts without images. But it's not true that every single post should have an image with it, because I think the juice you get from posting an image with your text post kind of goes away if you're always posting images with every post. The algorithm is funny that way. It knows. It kind of watches what you're doing, and it kind of tracks. And if you're not giving a good variety of posts, it can start to hurt your impression numbers and that kind of thing, the impact of your posts. So I always say, you don't need to post selfie with every post. I rarely post selfies. And, I think people think that it makes them somehow, their post more personal somehow. And, if you're sharing something where it just makes sense to have a picture of yourself, like if you have a picture of yourself with your client and you have a testimonial, go for it. Like that's
that's image. Even a better one. Yes.
That's perfect. Right. But you don't need to post a selfie every time. People roll their eyes at people who post selfies all the time, but, a good graphic that sort of enhances your post is a great thing. And carousels do very, very well if you can get into doing that kind of stuff. If you like doing graphics, they're pretty easy to do on Canva. You can go to Canva and create some images. And I always recommend experimenting. So if you don't usually post images, try doing some images a couple times a week or something like that. Just see what happens. And if you see a boost in your impressions, then that's a good thing. Or if you see a boost in your comments, that's great. But otherwise, I say, don't push yourself too hard. LinkedIn still mostly favors text-based posts. Almost all of my posts tend to be text-based, and I haven't seen, it hasn't hurt my reach at all. So don't feel like you need to post a selfie.
Yeah, no, I mean, even for me, this is really an interesting conversation, because I had them, and it's probably because it's, we hear a lot about Instagram and Facebook, where images are really favored, so that we think that we have to put on images. So it's because I'm thinking, I always have to I think I always have to put an image, but this is also an eye opener for me that no, we don't have to put like images each time. Yeah.
No, I haven't seen that as a necessity at all. It's nice to have, and it's great, and you can create some nice graphics, because I was always thinking as a writer, what do I have to take pictures of when when Instagram started? I said, I'm never going to be on Instagram. I'm never going to take. I don't have anything to take pictures of. But the graphics in Canva can be very nice. People do a nice job with those graphics, and having the little slide carousel to go by. That's really nice. So if you're sharing,
I was going to say. So for those who don't know, carousel, it's like several images in a slideshow, and it's also something you can do very easily on Canva, and you don't need to have a PhD to do it.
Right. No, it is not too difficult. They have nice templates. It's very simple. So, if you're sharing tips, or you're sharing, these 5 things, that could lend itself really easily to a carousel. So when you're doing a post like that, then that's
I was going to say we're going a little bit off topic, but this is, a carousel is something different than the post we did today on the prompting. Emily, I would love to continue talking with you for hours, because I feel you have so much to share with us. So I'm going to ask you a last question. So we talked lots about vulnerability, and you talked about this lump in like when do you say, okay, this is a healthy lump and go for the publishing, or when it's like, no, if this feels,
right?
How do you know the difference?
It's a great question. So one thing I would recommend is sleep on your posts. If you can create your posts before the day you're trying to post them, that's a really good idea, because you will have a different feeling about it when you wake up in the morning. And usually that's my indication. Like, oh no, this one isn't quite fully baked. Let me leave it in the oven for a little while. Let me sit on this, and maybe in a week I'll be ready to post it. So if it's something like that where you revisit it after a week and you're still like, ooh, I don't know, then it's probably not a good idea. But if you write it, I try to write my posts for the week, and I post 3 times a week. I try to write my posts on Friday for the next week. So those posts, they've been percolating a little bit in my head over the weekend. And when I get around to posting them, I read them one more time, and you'll know, your intuition will tell you, this is one to go for. And like I said, you can be experimental. If you tell yourself this is an experiment, that can make it easier to post even with that lump in your throat. You can say this. This is I'm taking a chance. Let's see what happens. And if it falls flat, okay, well, next time maybe you'll change up what you're doing. But
but like you say, you have to experiment. You will never have the perfect post and the perfect moment. It will. And I like also how you give that extra last tip, is like to batch your content. When you do it on that's how I do it as well. Because then you're really in the zone, and then it's all done. And you just have to rework a little bit, but you have it all, and it gives time to.
Yes, even having a draft ahead of time, even though I know it's not perfect, it frees you up to just write it without worrying about it. Because if you're writing it the day of, you're like, ooh, this has to be, perfect. It has to be right. But if you're writing it in advance, you're like, oh, I'm just going to look at this again later. So that's really helpful. And I know somebody said, you want to try to argue with the voices in your head, the negative voices, once, and win the argument, and then move on. So I like that, rather than every day. Oh, what am I going to post on LinkedIn? Do it on Friday, or do it one day a week, and then.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a really great tip. But I'm going to remind everyone of the big tip that you have given us. And so if you're not sure about LinkedIn and you don't know where to start, use this prompt of Emily, which is, what is one thing you wish everybody knew about you and your business? You take that prompt, you think about it for 5 minutes, write down, and what you have, you can reformulate in an article. Emily has given us a couple of possibilities. The first one is a process post. You can use it with a testimonial, and you can use it as a way of being a little bit controversial, not too much, but just a little bit. So thank you so much, Emily, for all your help. I really hope that Megan is going to make a big post of this. And any writing coach who's here, please feel free to tag Emily and both us. We will be more than happy to come in and give you a valuable and nice comment to get your impressions up on LinkedIn.
Yes.
If people want to go further, where can they find you?
Yeah, you can find me at my website, which is thepocketphd.com.
Okay, and I will put this link in the show notes, of course.
Okay.
Yeah,
perfect. Yeah.
And you also you also organize a workshop every month, every first Thursday of the month at 11 a.m. Eastern time. And that's a great opportunity if you've been watching this and you say, oh, I want Emily to do something similar with my post. It's a monthly LinkedIn hot seat event, right? Can you give us a little bit of information about that one?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so on the first Thursday of the month at 11 a.m. Eastern time in US, we do some workshopping of your LinkedIn posts. So you do exactly what we just did on this podcast episode. I give you the prompt. I give you actually a few different prompts. You do some free writing, and then you read to me what you free wrote, and then I help you, turn it into a post or several posts, as you saw with Megan.
Yeah, I was going to say, because with one paragraph, she got 3 posts out there. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that often happens, and yeah, I help you figure out what the best hooks are, what the kind of posts you're creating are, and yeah, it's just a really fun time to workshop content together.
And most importantly, it's free, so people,
yes, free.
Get on that. The link will be below as well. And for my subscribers, there will also be a link to a great LinkedIn guide, which I absolutely recommend. Even for me, it was so insightful, and I've got a lot of information. So the link will be in your email that you will. Okay, so thank you so much, Emily. I'm so happy that you came on. I really hope that this was very useful, both for you, but also for my writing coaches. And thank you so much again. I can't say thank you enough.
Thank you, Anne. It was so much fun. I love it. Yeah.
And for you, the writing coach, if you like this episode and you don't want to miss the next one, you want to have it right next in your email box, don't forget to subscribe for the weekly newsletter for writing coaches. You will find the link just below. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Please feel free to share, comment, let us know what you thought about this episode. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Oh, yay. That was great.
Good. Yeah, that was so fun.
I didn't